So one of my clients went to Six Flags Great Adventure, a place where you're supposed to have a really good time with family and friends, going on rides and walking around the park and laughing and just having a good time. And she almost, because of her size, almost could not get on one of the rides. And you would think, for most people, that would be a wake-up call. Now, this is a client that has been struggling for a long time. She has been struggling with food for a long time, but she does not, for whatever reason, want to admit that she is addicted to some of these foods. She does not want to, she does not want to admit that she is addicted to crap food. She does not want to admit that she has a problem. She thinks like she could have a little bit of this. I'm good. I have enough self-control, and she always ends up overdoing it. And I said to her, that's like a drug addict saying that, oh, I can smoke a little bit of crack. I hope YouTube allows that. I could smoke a little, I could do a little bit of this, and I could do a little bit of that, and it ain't that big of a deal. And always end up doing more than what you originally intended on doing, because you've got a problem, and she's got a big problem. So we were talking yesterday, and she said, yeah, but I've made some changes. And I said, look, your weight is the same today at the end of October as it was in the beginning of June. I said, your problem is you take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I said, you're always ending up in the same place because you're never making enough forward progress consistently. I said, that's the problem, is you're not consistently making that forward progress. So I said to her, could you envision there being a reality where you would not want to eat fast food, where you would not want to eat junk food? And her answer was no. She does not want to live without eating those things. And I was like, then you are doomed to never reach your goals, because I said what you say you want to accomplish is in conflict with your actions. I said your actions say one thing, but your words say something completely different. And I said, you are going to struggle. You're never going to make the progress that you want to make, because what you say you want is completely different than what you're willing to do. And I said, until you truly believe that there is a reality, that an alternate reality somewhere else out there, like this is a Marvel freaking movie, there is an alternate reality where you actually don't eat those things. And it is amazing to me. I said that, what the heck is that in the road? I said junk food, fast food is like, and I've used this analogy before. I said junk food, fast food is like that abusive boyfriend. He beats you. He calls you names. He's nasty. He's mean. You walking around with a bloody mouth, black eye, and your friends are calling you out on him. Your family hates him, and all you do is you just defend everything he does, and you downplay everything that he does. It ain't that bad, and he's really a nice guy, and he just got a little bit of a temper, and he'll change. He told me he was gonna change, and you just keep defending the bad behavior. You just keep defending that thing that is not good for you. I said, when are you going to wake up? I would think that you going to an amusement park and almost being turned away from getting on to a ride because of your size would be that enough is enough moment. I always say, everybody has to get to that point where enough is enough before they ever truly decide to do anything about their situation. And I said, obviously that wasn't enough. The fact that you almost were, and she was talking about how embarrassing it was. And I'm like, yeah, I would probably be pretty embarrassed too. So I'm not going to, all hope is never lost. I always tell my clients, if you're not willing to give up, I'm not willing to give up. But we've got to start. And I told her, I said, look, you've got to stop being delusional about where you're at and thinking that you're doing better than you actually are. You got to wake up. And as they say, smell the coffee, smell the roses, smell something. Because it ain't working. You're never going to get to where you want to be until you start admitting that I've got a problem. And that is the first step in making any change, is admitting that you've got a problem, admitting that you've got an issue. And that is what I did with peanut butter back in December. I literally said all I would need is a jar and a spoon. I would buy a jar of peanut butter at 2 p.m. and by 3:30, that jar would be gone. No, I don't need nothing else but a fork, whatever, a spoon and a jar. And that's all I need. And that jar is done. It's a wrap for that jar. And that was one day I had gotten to the point where I was like, look, enough is enough. I remember I was in the store, I was going grocery shopping. And this always happens to me at these types of moments. I'm in the grocery store, I'm going shopping, I'm in the peanut butter aisle, and I'm reaching down. My favorite peanut butter is all the way at the bottom. And this is the first time I've never in any grocery store ever seen the peanut butter like that all the way at the bottom. I'm sure there's some places that it is. I just never remember seeing it there. It was at the bottom. I'm going to reach for it. And I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? You said you were going to be done with peanut butter. I'm like, I guess today ain't the day. So I said to myself, you know what? You're right. If I ain't going to give it up now, I ain't never going to give it up. And I decided not to buy it. I got in my car and I'm sitting in my car and I was like, and I said to myself, I said, you got a problem with peanut butter. Like, you are out of control. And I said to myself, I said, could you imagine not wanting to eat peanut butter ever again? Could you imagine never eating peanut butter again? And I said to myself, I said, yeah, I could imagine that. I said, well, start it today. And I remember that was on the last time I had peanut butter. I'd have to go back and look at the calendar, but I know it was the first week in December 2024. I want to say it was a Tuesday. And I haven't had peanut butter since. It is now the end of October 2025. And I am like, I never thought I would be sitting here right now saying that I have not opened a jar of peanut butter and put a spoon in that jar since December of last year. But I was able to do that, something that I was highly addicted to, because I admitted that I had a problem. And I wanted to not have that problem. So I decided that enough was enough. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of making excuses, all of that. And I decided I was done with it. And I stopped eating peanut butter. And now I don't even miss it. But again, first I had to envision that life, there could be a reality where I didn't actually eat peanut butter and I didn't care about peanut butter. So anyway, wanted to tell that story about my client, and hopefully she'll wake up. Eventually, I say everybody has to get to the point where enough is enough. Some people never get to that point, and then it ends up being too late for them. Hopefully, it's not too late for my client. I'm going to keep working on her until we get there, and hopefully it's not too late for you. So if you can relate, let me know down below in the comment. Give me your story where you were fighting demons, or you're still fighting those demons. Let me know down below in the comments. And if you need help on your journey, click the first link down below in the description, fill out the form, and the two of us together will figure out what we need to do to get you from where you're at to where you want to be. And of course, as always, the first coaching call is free.